Yeah, I could talk about rocks, right? Like this is a purple fluorite, kind of a. But I'd rather talk about. Actually, I'd rather talk about rocks, but what's been going on is something that I want to address, which was implant in my head that's giving me pain at will. That's triggered at will. Not my will, it's somebody else's will. Now, this could sound crazy. It could sound unbelievable. It could sound schizophrenic, psychosomatic. It could sound, or it does sound, however you want to interpret it. But I'm telling you what's been going on. Yes, maybe the last week or two, even just today, but it's happened in the past, where this implant here, like for instance, when they turn the pressure on, I grab here, I can feel it going back up. So it's like these little points and it's all over. And it's somebody who is basically playing games with me. Somebody who has a personal, has enough time or money to just fuck with somebody, and technology, of course. I kind of want to say it's probably like a silicone technology, like the silicone here. That's probably something like that. That's in the skin, kind of in with the skin. I mean, the skin is the outer layer, but that can like kind of meld with the skin, And I kind of want to talk about what I don't like about America. And that's one thing, is America kidnapped, murdered my older sister, Elizabeth Ann Walker Beach. Or the things that go on in this country that I don't like being victimized while you sleep at night, or anybody being victimized, whether it's sexually, or whether it's any kind of rape, like implant rape, where your skin is raped, with a like a tag, like tagging a monkey or a cow or a dog with your electronic technology, like an animal, right? Like a goyim, like an animal dog. And then just fucking with that dog, fucking with that dog. You got your little technology, you could just fuck with that dog, because that's how you're viewed, as a goyim, as an animal. That's how you're treated. That's how you're treated with this technology, like a fucking animal. And I kind of want to, I'm kind of sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm really fucking sick of it. I'm just sick of it, So, what can I do? What can I say? I don't know. If you got something in your skin and somebody's fucking with you, other than actually remove it or put a tinfoil hat or Faraday cage. Now, Nowadays they would call a tinfoil hat a Faraday cage. That's a modern day terminology. We no longer call it tinfoil hat, okay? But what would somebody want with me? What would be the purpose? What would be like the motive? You know, you look for motive. What was the motive to kidnap, murder Elizabeth? I don't know. What did she do to anybody? Nothing, you know? Did I do something? I don't know. I've had these assholes on my ass for a while, you know? Ever since Sandin International, the air conditioning compressor plant, you know, I just talked to a guy named Varghese, something about the, you know, I had a theory about the lights, controlling our electromagnetic frequencies, so kind of controlling our mood, but nothing really like sinister, just a basic theory that I just shared with somebody, an employee, a fellow employee. Then all of a sudden I have these spooks coming out of the woodwork. You know, I was 20 years old, working at a factory job, you know. Just had a baby, just had a kid, kind of starting a little family life. Definitely not any kind of upper class, anything. So, yeah, that was what, 97, 96, 97. Then you have sexual rape, whether it's male, female, sodomy, whatever, in 99, right? But first they kind of rape you with technology, their technology, right? And that was, you know, kind of something that'll fly in your ear. It's really tiny, microscopic. And you kind of have to sleep in an airtight tent to avoid that. So it's really microscopic technology that we're dealing with. And I wish I could just leave the country and live free somewhere. And I wish I could just confine these little devils, build a little wall, build a fucking wall, you know, like Trump wants to build a fucking wall. I wish I could just wall off these little fuckers and just leave, you know, put them in cages or just confine them, and then I could be free over here. At least, you know, they're still doing their evil, but I'm just away from them and they can't get to me. You know, this all started in Texas, by the way. Everybody loves Texas. Isn't Texas great? So, yeah, but so normally an implant wouldn't be to cause pain necessarily or anything like that. I would say it would just be more to, I don't know, for many different reasons. Like when I talk about my eyes, like, you know, maybe so that one person could see what, like if I'm looking at something, actually, if I'm looking at you, they're looking at you, right? So essentially I'm spying on myself, or I'm spying anywhere I look at, they're looking at, you know? So it's not always necessarily sinister, but it could be sinister. It could, like, oh, maybe they, you know, they want to up the ante, you know, and put in a different type where, you know, you do bring pain, or you have these like sensational type implant, right? Where that's the purpose. Or normally I don't think it would be that way. But what kind of life is that you're living as a fucking dog or a little monkey? You're somebody's little monkey boy, and they have all the little hooks in you, monkey boy. What a life you're living, where you're just an endless victim of rape or of whatever type or whatever, right? You're just an endless victim. And you're also the villain. You're a victim. You know, we killed your sister, we raped you, we put our technology in you, but we also have to make you a villain because to justify our evil deeds, we have to villainize you also. So you're also a villain and a victim. So even though you're being like totally victimized, you're also the villain. You're also some type of villain that deserves all the abuse that we're giving you. Kind of like Palestinians, you know. They're being murdered, but they deserve it because Israel created Hamas, right? Because of Hamas. Israel created Hamas like Israel and the U.S. created ISIS. Hey, look, we put our bad guy in your territory. Now we got to go fight the bad guy. No, we're not fighting Syria. We're fighting ISIS, who we created, who are destroying Syria. So that's a little game they play. They create the bad guy, then they go fight the bad guy. It's not too difficult to see what's going on in Israel with the Palestinians. It's well known and documented, and it's from the horse's mouth that they want more land. They want all that fucking land, not just in Palestine, but Syria. And I think some in Iran too. They're very open about their ambitions. So anyways, yeah, so the guilt complex, you know, we're doing something bad, I'm doing something bad to you, but it's your fault that I'm doing this, you know. It's your fault. Just because I'm raping you, it's your fault I'm raping you. It's your fault, you know, that I'm putting this technology in your skin. You're making me do it. It's really just your fault. And, well, you must be a really bad person to make me do this, to make me kidnap Elizabeth and kill her and murder her, satanically murder her and eat her flesh. You made me do that. You're a really bad person. See what you made me do? Yeah, so I just want to address something that has been going on. And like I said, they could trigger me now. It could be crazy, right? So like I do need some dental work. I do need to take a little bit better care of myself in certain ways. And so there's kind of maybe a reasonable doubt that, hey, it is my tooth, and or it is something that's natural, not unnatural, right? Like it's not an implant, it's my tooth. So there's at first that thinking, but then no, then I can see, well, no, when I hear, no, when I can feel it here in my ear, then it's all in there. So it's not evident, and yeah, that does sound crazy that there could be implant technology to do that with somebody with a weird fetish vendetta to do something like that. But it's not weird or new to me. It's something I'm very familiar with, right? It's kind of like I'm very familiar with this type of abuse or treatment or protocol or games, what terminology you want to use, you know. So, yeah, we could just talk about fluorite. This is a purple fluorite. But I wanted to address, so and the other day I don't want to bring, so I feel like I live in a very bad environment. You know, it's not necessarily my dwelling or, you know, where I'm paying rent per se. but it's the general, and maybe, you know, maybe it's the outline of the United States area. I don't know. I know it's certain areas that it is better or worse. Like, you know, you're closer to Disneyland, you know, it's probably worse. The more technology, the worse. The more of these techno wizards you got around you, probably the worse it is. Because what's the point of having rape technology if you can't use rape technology to rape people with, right? You have rape technology, now we need rapists to use it and abuse it, and we have it, so we need to use it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of issues with this country that are surfacing, and then there's those that have been going on for like 20 plus years, my own personal issues, but there's a lot of surfacing issues that have surfaced for sure, but this is technology I'm talking about. And you know, I'm not sure what triggered these guys. Maybe it's my stance on the Palestine Israel. I would call that rape. I wouldn't call it a conflict. I wouldn't call it a war. I would call it Israel's been raping Palestinians or Palestine for years. Open air prison, with Hamas being the reason for basically provoking Israeli aggression, and basically working for Israeli interests. So basically Hamas is working to the detriment of the people of Palestine. And since I'm not a racist or an Israeli, I guess I see things as I see them. I'm not Palestinian, I'm not Jewish. I guess you could say I have no dog in this fight, but I definitely see who you're not allowed to talk about pretty much, and that's Jews in this country. In Germany, you're not allowed to talk about certain types of people or certain religion. While at the same time in 9/11, Muslims were demonized. And now we have kind of like white people, you know, straight Trump white people being demonized. It's going to be tough to demonize whites, demonize Muslims, demonize everybody, because at the end of the day, if you're a communist, you kind of want to demonize everybody that's outside your sphere. Like, I mean, I never knew communism was Jewish, like a Jewish influence, like Chinese communism, you know, Mao. I saw this picture of Mao, and then these three Chinese guys, or four Jewish guys, all, you know, on the side of him. Jewish guy, Jewish guy, Jewish guy. So I guess like Mao's influencers were all Jewish communism. The Bolsheviks, Jewish. They hated the Russians. They hated ethnic Russians. And actually they passed speech laws punishable by death if you talk about bad about Jewish people. So it's not far-fetched to say these technology, the people who have the technology in my head, if I would say maybe it's, you know, motivated in some way based upon what's going on the ground in America. You know, people losing their bank accounts if they voted for the wrong person, if they voted for Trump, right? You don't lose your bank account if you voted for Biden or Hillary, or if you're a flaming liberal. They love you. So they've kind of created this two sides. The government has created a side they hate, and a side that can literally get away with a lot of stuff, like BLM was getting away with burning down cities and burning down police departments. But the media didn't care. So in the government and the media, they do work together in the narrative of who they want to hate or love. But that's all apart from my own personal issues of something that's not really talked about, you know. It's not talked about. This technology is not talked about. Rape, sleep rape is not talked about. If there's like perverts molesting children while they sleep at night and getting away with it, it's not talked about. So pretty much I'm talking about stuff that's really not talked about. I don't hear anybody too many talk about it. People talk about it. You hear there's targeted individual groups, stuff like that. You do get an actual crazy schizos in there. And I'm not asking anybody to believe anything I say, actually, but there is a long history of this, and it's not something I want to talk about. I'd rather just talk about Iraq, you know. And I wouldn't want to talk about, you know, Israel trying to commit genocide in Palestine either, but that's happening also. So there's bad things that are happening that aren't always talked about, but maybe should be talked about because they're happening and they happened, you know. But they're kept quiet, you know. So there's, what is it? Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Is that a book, or it's a page or blog? Is it a documentary? I think it has something to do with 5G maybe. So silent weapon for quiet wars. Silent weapons would be maybe the injection that Trump pushed on Americans, the injection that Trump pushed on American soldiers, military personnel. But it's not so silent when people start dropping dead. People start realizing it's dangerous. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of different wars going on, being waged against Americans, against maybe personal wars against people. And I guess if the bad guys have enough money and funding, they can just continue their wars, continue the war. So yeah, I wish I could just leave this bad environment into a better environment. But it seems like the U.S. has fucked a lot of countries financially. But pretty much everybody's getting fucked in one way or the other, whether it's an injection. Maybe some people have had, you know, to deal with. I'm sure everybody has their own personal thing they're dealing with. And I'm telling you about mine. And it's not talked about. Like Johnny Gosch, you know, this guy, this boy, you know, it was like in the 80s. He was abused and raped and all this bad stuff. I never heard about it. You know, it's not talked, you know, so there's a lot of evil that goes on that's never talked about. It's not spoken of or mentioned, but it happens. And so I'm not trying to keep anything alive by talking about it. And, you know, the whole esoteric, what you attract, what you talk about, whatever you attract, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just talking about it because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I can't just dig this out of my skin. You know, I guess I could just, a Faraday cage is the answer. Tinfoil hat. How much can a tinfoil hat cover? This much? What about down here? Can I cover my whole head with a tinfoil hat? How about a motorcycle helmet? Just walk around with motorcycle helmet on my head?